The morning sun filtered through the tall trees, casting long shadows on the ground where Buddha sat in serenity. Disciples gathered around him, their faces a mixture of curiosity and devotion, awaiting the unfolding of wisdom. Buddha opened his eyes, his gaze calm and piercing, as if seeing through the illusions of existence. Suffering is not distant from any of us, Buddha began, his voice steady and full of compassion. It is like a shadow, following the form wherever it may go, he continued, inviting reflection among those present. One disciple, young and eager, raised his hand, his voice trembling slightly as he spoke. Master, he said, why is suffering so deeply woven into our lives? Can it ever be unraveled? Buddha nodded gently, acknowledging the sincerity in his question. The root of suffering lies within our attachments, he answered, his words deliberate and clear. I watched as his frustration grew, cursing the reins, blaming his tools, lamenting his fate. Buddha narrates patiently, this man, absorbed in anger, saw only disaster, failing to notice the fertile field that awaited his attention. Consider the farmer, he said, pointing to a man tilling the fields nearby. He plows the earth, sowing seeds with hope and expectation. One disciple interjects, asking hesitantly, Master, what should we do when suffering appears insurmountable, consuming our days like an unending storm? Buddha nods, his serene expression unbroken, his answer clear like sunlight piercing morning mists after a long, dark night. The storm ends not through denial, nor by clinging to its edges, but by observing its unfolding without resistance or grasp. The farmer clings to his hope, and when the rains fail or pests come, his suffering is magnified. The young disciple listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought, trying to grasp the depth of the teaching. Does this mean we should abandon hope, Master? He asked, his voice carrying both concern and curiosity. Buddha smiled faintly, a gesture of both understanding and reassurance. No, my child, he said. Abandonment is not the path. Balance is the way. Hope should inspire, not bind. Another disciple, an older woman with lines of experience etched on her face, spoke up, Master, how do we live without being ensnared by our attachments? She asked, her voice steady and wise. Buddha turned his gaze toward her, his expression one of respect for her journey. By understanding impermanence, he said, each word resonating like the toll of a bell, everything changes, everything fades. When we see this clearly, our grip loosens. He paused, letting the silence echo his words, giving space for contemplation to bloom in their minds. Imagine holding water in your hands, Buddha continued, his voice soft yet commanding. No matter how tight your grip, it slips through your fingers. The disciples visualized the fleeting nature of water, their hearts stirred by the simplicity of the metaphor. Such is life, Buddha said. When we grasp, we suffer. When we release, we find peace. Time moves gently alongside Buddha's teachings, and his lessons resonate like echoes traveling through chambers within the sanctuary of our souls. Another day begins, as the sun rises gently above the horizon, painting the sky with hues of amber and gold. How do we bear it? He asked. Buddha looked at him, his eyes kind but unyielding in their wisdom. Through compassion, he said, the word carrying the weight of universal truth. Compassion transforms suffering, like a fire that warms rather than burns. He gestured to the path leading out of the grove, a path well trodden by wanderers and seekers alike. A traveler walks a long road, his feet blistered and weary. Buddha began, painting a picture with his words. Yet, when he meets a kind stranger who shares water and shelter, his burdens lighten. The disciples nodded, the image vivid in their minds, the lesson resonating deeply in their hearts. He cursed the gnarled tree he could not shape, failing to notice the rich grain hidden beneath its rugged surface. like the stream. To let be is to carry life's burdens while remaining unattached to their weight and consequence. Disciples nod, listening intently as Buddha's teachings unfold like melodies sung by the wind moving gently through ancient forests. Letting be does not demand resistance. It invites acceptance, Buddha explains, gesturing to a fallen leaf floating aimlessly downstream. Buddha inclined his head slightly, his expression one of both acknowledgement and encouragement. The path is not easy, he admitted, his honesty a beacon in the complexities of their lives. But every step taken with awareness is a step toward liberation. He pointed to the sun, now climbing higher in the sky, its light spreading warmth and illumination across the land. The sun does not rise suddenly. It ascends gradually, chasing away the darkness, Buddha said. So too does wisdom unfold, dispelling ignorance bit by bit. His disciples absorbed the metaphor, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and serenity. Patience is not passive, Buddha said. It is active trust in the process of awakening. The grove fell silent. The only sounds the rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. Just as rain nourishes the earth, sorrow nourishes the soul when accepted, reminding us of life's enduring impermanence. The stream carries burdens without protest, its waters flowing freely regardless of what lies within its depths. The path begins here, Buddha said finally, his voice both an invitation and a declaration. With each breath, with each step, with each moment of awareness, he stood, his saffron robes catching the sunlight, a figure both ordinary and extraordinary, both human and divine. Suffering is not a curse but a teacher, he said, his final words imbued with profound clarity. Embrace it with wisdom, and it shall guide you to freedom. Another day, another gathering under the Bodhi tree, where wisdom flowed like an unceasing river nourishing the thirsty minds. Buddha sat cross-legged, his form still as the roots of the tree, his presence like a tranquil ocean. A breeze whispered through the leaves above, carrying with it the scent of earth and the weight of questions. What holds us back from liberation, Master? Asked a disciple, his voice filled with the gravity of the inquiry. Buddha looked at the disciple with eyes that seemed to peer into the depths of existence itself. Delusion is a chain, Buddha began, his tone carrying the simplicity of profound truth. It binds us to a world that we mistake for real. Though it is fleeting, he gestured toward a clay pot that lay empty, cracked, and discarded at the edge of the grove. Consider the pot, Buddha said, his voice weaving a lesson from its presence. We see it as a vessel, yet its true essence is the space it holds within. Another disciple leaned forward, his brow furrowed as he wrestled with the meaning of the words. Master, he said, if space is the essence, why do we cling to the pot and mourn when it breaks? Buddha tilted his head slightly, a faint smile gracing his lips as he answered. Because we forget the impermanence of the pot, he said. We mourn not its breaking but our own shattered illusion. The group sat in reflective silence, the air thick with the weight of this revelation, each pondering their attachments. A child approached the gathering, carrying a small, withered flower in his tiny hands, his eyes wide with innocence. Buddha noticed the child and invited him closer, his gesture welcoming and kind. What brings you here, little one? Buddha asked, his voice soft yet resonant with compassion. The child held up the flower, its petals dry and brittle, as if offering an unspoken question. Buddha accepted the flower gently, holding it between his fingers, its fragility a poignant symbol. This flower has lived its life, Buddha said, his words directed at both the child and his disciples. In its withering, it teaches us the beauty of impermanence, the poetry of change. The child nodded, his young mind absorbing a truth he could sense but not fully articulate. An elderly disciple, his voice carrying the resonance of years lived and lessons learned. posed a new question. Master, if all is impermanent, where shall we find refuge from the storms of life? He asked. Buddha placed the flower on the ground before him. Its form now a part of the earth it came from. Refuge is not found in things, Buddha said, his voice as steady as the ground beneath them. Refuge is found in understanding, in seeing the truth as it is. He pointed to a small pool of water nearby, its surface calm and reflective, mirroring the sky above. Be like the water, Buddha said, drawing their attention to its stillness and clarity. The water reflects truth without clinging to it, holding it gently and releasing it freely. The disciples gazed at the pool, its lessons flowing into their minds like a stream carving its path through the earth. One disciple, troubled by the weight of human suffering, raised a voice tinged with sorrow. Master, how do we reconcile the pain of existence with the wisdom of impermanence? She asked. Buddha closed his eyes for a moment, the silence stretching like a bridge between question and answer. When he opened them, his gaze carried the weight of countless lifetimes of understanding. Pain is a wave, he said, his words drawing a vivid metaphor. It rises and falls, but it does not define the ocean it moves through. He extended his hand, as if inviting them to join him in this understanding, to see beyond the surface. Wisdom teaches us to stand firm, to witness the waves without being swept away, Buddha continued. The disciple nodded, her sorrow tempered by the possibility of finding strength in awareness, of not being consumed. The ocean is vast, Buddha said, his words a balm to their wounded spirits. And so are you. When you awaken to the truth of your boundless nature. The wind picked up, carrying leaves that danced like transient moments, their motion a silent lesson in impermanence. Buddha watched the movement, his eyes tracing the path of a single leaf as it fell and landed softly. Every fall is also a return, Buddha said, his words as light as the leaf yet heavy with meaning. The leaf returns to the earth, becoming part of the cycle of life once more. A young disciple, eager to share her own reflections, spoke with a voice tinged with enthusiasm. Master, is this why we must let go? To join the cycle without resistance? She asked. Buddha nodded, his expression one of encouragement and affirmation, as if guiding her deeper into the labyrinth of truth. Yes, he said, his words clear and direct. Letting go is not a loss. It is an embrace of the eternal flow. He turned back to the disciples, his gaze encompassing the group, each face a unique canvas of longing and learning. Remember this, Buddha said, his voice carrying the tone of both instruction and inspiration. The river does not resist the rocks. It flows around them, finding its path to the sea. The disciples listened, their hearts touched by the simplicity of the metaphor and the vastness of its implications. The child, still seated close to Buddha, looked up at him with eyes that held both innocence and the seed of wisdom. Master, the child asked, his voice small but clear, if I am like the river, where is my sea? Buddha looked at the child, his expression one of profound respect for the purity of the question. Your sea is the truth, Buddha said, his voice gentle yet firm, and the river of your being will find it. Step by step, the grove fell into silence once more, the kind of silence that holds more than words, that carries the depth of understanding. Buddha looked at the horizon, the fading light of the day painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Another day ends, Buddha said, his voice tinged with both the finality and the continuity of time. And yet, the journey continues, for truth is a path without end. His disciples bowed their heads, their hearts filled with gratitude and their minds illuminated with the flickering light of understanding. Carry these teachings like a lamp in the darkness, Buddha said, his final words a guide for their continued journey. May they lead you, not to me, but to the truth that lies within yourselves. Another day, another gathering under the open sky. The disciples seated in a circle as Buddha walked among them. His footsteps were slow and deliberate, each step an embodiment of mindfulness and presence in the here and now. The air was filled with the faint scent of blossoms, and the distant sound of a river mingled with the soft rustling leaves. A disciple, seated at the edge of the circle, raised his voice with a question that weighed heavily in his heart. "Master, what is enlightenment?" he asked, his words trembling with the longing to grasp the elusive truth. Buddha stopped, his gaze falling upon the disciple with an expression that carried both compassion and firm resolve. "Enlightenment is not a destination," Buddha said, his words calm and measured. "It is seeing the path clearly." With open eyes, another disciple, her hands folded neatly in her lap, posed a question that had haunted her thoughts. "Master, is it something we can attain, like holding water in our hands?" she asked. Buddha turned toward her, his saffron robes catching the sunlight as he spoke. "You cannot hold the wind, nor can you possess enlightenment," Buddha answered, his voice like a breeze that carries wisdom. "It flows through you when you let go, when you cease to grasp." He gestured toward the river in the distance, its waters glinting in the sunlight as it meandered through the valley. "Look to the river," Buddha said, pointing to its gentle currents. "It does not seek to reach the ocean. It simply flows." The disciples turned their gazes toward the river, their hearts stirred by the simplicity and profundity of the metaphor. "Such is the nature of awakening," Buddha continued. "It is not found in striving but in flowing with truth." A child, playing nearby, noticed the gathering and wandered closer, his small feet kicking up dust as he approached. Buddha paused to greet the child, kneeling slightly to meet his curious gaze. "What brings you here, little one?" Buddha asked, his voice warm and inviting, drawing the child into the fold of wisdom. Buddha turned his attention to the bustling market nearby, observing the exchanges between merchants, buyers, and those simply passing through. "This market is full of activity," Buddha said. "But not all activity leads to fulfillment. This stone carries the wisdom of the river," Buddha said, turning the stone in his hands as he spoke. "The river polishes its rough edges, shaping it over time, without haste or resistance." His disciples watched, their minds connecting the metaphor to their own journey. Their own rough edges. An elderly disciple, whose journey had been long and winding, raised his voice, carrying the weight of years in his words. "Master, I have faced many storms, yet my heart remains restless," he said. Buddha approached him, his steps slow but purposeful, as if each moment held infinite importance. "Restlessness is like a flickering flame," Buddha said, his voice steady and clear. "It dances and burns until it is quieted by stillness." He gestured toward the grove where they gathered, its tall trees standing firm against the winds that sometimes blew through. The trees do not resist the wind. They bend and sway, allowing it to pass, Buddha said. In stillness, they find their strength, their grounding. The disciple closed his eyes, his heart touched by the imagery, his restlessness quieted by the gentle wisdom. Buddha raised his hand toward the breeze. This wind moves freely, unbound by walls or barriers. Buddha stopped and turned to him, his gaze carrying the weight of countless lives lived and lessons learned. Suffering is the teacher that no one seeks but everyone needs, Buddha said. Each word carefully placed. He walked to the edge of the grove, where the sunlight met the shadows, casting patterns on the ground. Consider the lotus flower, Buddha said, pointing to a single bloom emerging from the mud and water of the riverbank. Its beauty is born from the muck, its purity untouched by the mire from which it rises. The disciples nodded, their hearts stirred by the image, the truth resonating deeply in their spirits. A young disciple, full of curiosity and eagerness, raised her voice with a question that danced in her thoughts. Master, Is awakening a moment or a journey? She asked. Buddha turned toward her, his gaze carrying a mixture of encouragement and challenge, as if urging her to think deeper. Awakening is both, Buddha said, his voice steady and clear. It is the moment you see, and the journey of continuing to see. He gestured toward the horizon, where the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and red. The sun sets slowly, yet its light continues to illuminate until the day is done, Buddha said. So too does wisdom unfold, its glow extending beyond the immediate moment of realization. The disciples watched the sun, their hearts touched by the imagery and the depth of the teaching. The child, still seated near Buddha, looked up at him with eyes wide with wonder and innocence. Master, if I am like the stone, what will shape me? The child asked, his voice small but clear. Buddha smiled, his expression one of profound respect for the purity of the question. Time will shape you, and truth will polish you, Buddha said, his words carrying the weight of universal wisdom. He turned to his disciples, his gaze encompassing the group, each face a unique canvas of longing and learning. Remember this, Buddha said, his voice carrying the tone of both instruction and inspiration. Awakening is not given or taken. It is revealed when you open yourself to the light within. The disciples bowed their heads, their hearts filled with gratitude and their minds illuminated with the flickering light of understanding. The grove fell silent once more, the kind of silence that holds more than words, that carries the depth of understanding. Buddha looked at the horizon, the fading light of the day painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. Another day ends, Buddha said, his voice tinged with both the finality and the continuity of time. And yet, the journey continues, for truth is a path without end. His disciples bowed their heads, their hearts filled with gratitude and their minds illuminated with the flickering light of understanding. Carry these teachings like a lamp in the darkness, Buddha said, his final words a guide for their continued journey. May they lead you, not to me, but to the truth that lies within yourselves. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.